the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Circled is you can't take the NC State game lightly, because it's going to be Nico's first true, I wouldn't say road test, because it's in Charlotte, it's a neutral site, but I mean, it's still like 2 hours from Raleigh. Like, I think there'll be a healthy turnout for the Wolfpack. You've got Noah Rogers, big transfer from Ohio State, coming in. You got Grayson McCall, all-time passing completion percentage leader at NC State. Dave Doran, all he does is win 8 or 9 games every year. Their over-under, I believe, is 9.5, along with Tennessee. They're going to be competing near the top of the ACC. Florida's not. Florida, I don't see the same with Florida. I don't see the same with Alabama coming in to Tennessee this year. I think Tennessee will be favored in both of those games. I look at the NC State game where, look, we're going to be rocking. I'm sure UTC, like, no offense, but like, hopefully they moved it to Thursday night, because Thursday night is a delight when we can focus on the other games for that one. I love the Thursday night opener for Tennessee. It's fantastic. I hope they do that this year. But you're not going to glean much from that game.
Right.
You're going to glean a lot from NC State, neutral site, a good football team that could win the ACC if things go right for them this year. To me, think that's what will tell us where things are headed with the offense, how things are looking, who's going to be the new guys to pop. Because remember, Pitt gave Tennessee fits there 2 times in the ACC. And they obviously come in here and win early in Heupel's tenure 3 years ago. And then Tennessee, it had to go to overtime. It had to be a Cedric Tillman masterclass out wide for Tennessee to survive on the road against Pitt. So I just think, to me, what we've seen in the past with Heupel and the ACC, what I think NC State could be this year, to me, I'd have the NC State game as the far more important game to just check off and don't overlook and win, because I think they're going to be okay against Florida and Alabama at home. And I don't know if every Tennessee fan agrees with that. What do you think, Brent?
Well, I think there's two different there are two different games there, and what I mean by that is the first test is going to be NC State. Now, if you'd asked me about NC State pre-transfer portal, I would have said no. I'm not. They lost 24 guys to the portal, or 20 guys. Like, okay, they got issues here, but they've gone and got them some weapons, and had a really solid portal addition deal, which is why there's some
Jolly
buzz.
too at tight end, who Tennessee looked at, and
yeah. I mean, there's a buzz about some of those guys, and so I think that's a tough one, because it's the first one on the road. They may have, if you don't move your opener, they're going to have a couple more days to prepare, because they're opening on Thursday night. So they got a couple days to prepare for you that you don't get. You're right. You're not going to glean anything from the Chattanooga game, unless, you got the quarterback who struggles, or the offense is just really sputtering along. I mean, they're not going to lose that game, but just sputtering along here, and it's not overly impressive. You're going to go, oh, I don't know about that. But the true test is going to come NC State. Now where I would agree with Chris a little bit is you get Florida, and that's, you got to hold serve at home. I think the Florida game, there's going to be a ton of pressure on you. It's Florida, it's the rival. You've opened on the road at Oklahoma, which is no easy task. So if you don't win at Oklahoma, then you have to win at home against Florida. That becomes much more of a must-win. If you were to upset Oklahoma on the road, then everyone's going to assume you're going to handle Florida at home. But to your point, with new guys playing, and with a new quarterback, and everything, kind of what it is, new running back, and this, that, and the other. There to me, there's more uncertainty going into that NC State game. Now, as I don't know what coach said this, I've covered a few of them through the years. The more you win, the bigger the game gets moving forward, right? I mean, you start stacking wins, and then the pressure's there for how important. Or if you drop when you shouldn't, with the 12-team playoff, you can still get there, but you better not drop another one, right? And so, it just mounts as the season goes along. But you're exactly right in the fact that NC State game is no lay down. It's no gimme. And Tennessee better be ready to play that one. You better not take anything for granted there. I don't worry about them emotionally or mentally against Florida at home. Now they got to go out
Yeah.
and execute, but listen, they'll be ready to go. And I don't think that's a really good Florida team.
Mhm.
I think there's more. There's going to be more uncertainty about the NC. Now NC State's going to have some uncertainties, but that's going to be an intriguing game.
Mhm.
That's going to as that week gets here, there's going to be more people going. Oh, this game's a little more.
Yeah.
There's more to this in this game because right now everybody's talking about, hey, Bama's gettable. Napier's on his way out at Florida. Most people, a lot of people think, they're going to struggle there. Yeah, and there's an assumption that, you're going to be cruising through your first two heading to
Yeah.
Oklahoma, and you better
That's
not.
dangerous.
Yeah, you better not take anything for granted there, particularly with the weapons they brought in, because I think they'll be able to score. And typically, Dave Dorn's teams have always played good defense.
Mhm.
That's not been an issue.
Yes.
They've had issues scoring and staying
Tony
healthy.
Gibson's an elite defensive coordinator. He's one of the best in the country.
Yeah, they've been good on defense year in and year out for sure.
I'm glad we're on the same page. And look, if you get through Oklahoma unscathed and NC State, I mean, you're looking at 11-1 is probably where you're headed with Georgia, the Georgia game being the one loss, because this schedule is just nice. Like the more you look at it, the more you can see like why 10-2 feels very much in play. 11-1 feels very much in play. And I wouldn't worry about the Florida Alabama back to back like you would in years past. Like we would be scared years ago, right? Like what
Sure.
this kind of stinks. No, nothing in between to break up Florida and Bama, but at this iteration, no Saban and everything else. Like I think Tennessee should feel good about their and fans. The home games matter, and I love that Georgia's the one on the road because you'd rather have that one on the road because it's already extremely hard to beat them. I don't want to burn a home game against a team like Georgia. We saw it last year. It's like, no, that's the one you actually won on the road. Like I would beg to play Georgia on the road every year because if you surprise them, all right, cool. We won on the road and we stole one in Athens. But as of right now, you want those kind of 50-50 games like A&M last year. You want that at home. I don't know how that goes in College Station a year ago, but you get them at home. I think that was a big difference in Tennessee getting that win.
That game ended Jimbo Fisher's career at A&M. And that was one that your home crowd was a huge factor in winning that game. And Josh Heupel played field position, and obviously paid off in his favor. I think the Florida thing. I think the Florida team is going to be intriguing. I've seen some people try to create a little buzz about Florida, some talk about, hey, they're not going to, they're going to be this. They got a hot shot, quarterback. It's going to give him a chance to be, this or that.
Like, great. Have you seen the last 8 games? You don't have a choice. Like, it's the worst 8-game stretch I've ever seen in college football.
Yeah. So
I've never seen anything like it, Brent.
Yeah. So we'll see about that one, and then I think the situation in Alabama is just really intriguing because you're going from such an identity to a bunch of stuff that's new, and everything that's new is going to be scrutinized. It's just going to be scrutinized so bad and so hard, that I'm going to be curious to see how that team plays, because I don't know if this new coaching staff can will wins the way Nick Saban can do. I mean, I look at that Alabama team. Milroe got better. I get that he did, but there was some games that they won that they just the last couple of years they won because of Bryce Young. They won because of a fluke play here there, and they won because they just knew they were going to win.
Yeah.
Do they really believe they're going to line up and win every game like they have the last decade? There's not a game they went into the last 10, 12 years under Nick Saban where they didn't go, we're winning this game. Do they have that? Can they keep that with a whole new regime down there? I don't know. I think that this is going to be a great case study for replacing a legend, which we all know is pretty hard to do. It's not the easiest thing in the world.
Speaking of head coaches here, what now that you've covered Heupel for going on 4 years, what's been the biggest change you've seen from Josh Heupel, the coach, from when you first met him and saw him as a coach to where he's at now with the program?
I think he's got a better grasp of coaching a game where it's not just about it's always all gas, no brakes, score,
Mhm.
score, score. Now, I mean, the Alabama game, he went for it on fourth down a couple times. He didn't need to, but the A&M game, I'm not sure year one Josh Heupel plays that game that way at home
Hmm.
and plays field position and punts the football. I think he's growing in game management in
Mm.
terms of when you're going to go and when you're not
Nicely
going to
done,
go.
nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.